Hello, VC. I've been expecting you. Well, you can't have Halloween without a black cat. Um, Hi, Dave here. Um, okay, so basically an update with a difference. I'm going to be completely focusing on cassettes. I've picked up a lot of stuff lately, a lot of, well, not so much vinyl. I've picked up some vinyl and a lot of CDs and a ton of cassettes. The last couple of months, I've just been finding so many cassettes in charity shops and in flea markets, and I've loads and loads. So I decided I'd just do a video entirely dedicated to them. But before I do that, I just want to I want to thank a YouTube. Um, I feel rather silly because I don't actually know his real name. He's a YouTube member who shoots videos under the name of Rock Unboxing. He's based in the UK, and he offered to send me. He told me that he had this VHS copy of the Smiths, the complete picture, which he said I was welcome to have, because he said he doesn't have no longer has a VCR, so he can't play it. So he very kindly sent this to me. So I would really like to thank Rock Unboxing. For those of you unfamiliar with his channel, he shows a lot of charity shop finds, which, you know, I'm a huge fan of myself. It's one of my favourite pastimes, browsing thrift or charity shops for bargains. So I really do enjoy his channel. So he offered to send this to me, and it is this came out in the early 90s, 1992, so it was a posthumous release, and basically it is kind of what it says on the tin. It's all the videos. Now, funnily enough, for those of you who are familiar with the Smiths, them, and particularly I suppose Morrissey, really, they hated making videos. So really, they didn't make that many videos, and the videos that tended to be made were kind of put together by the record company, I think, really kind of without the participation of the band. But there's also kind of live music. There's appearances on you know, programs like Top of the Pops and so on. So yeah, thanks very much for this Rock Unboxing. Sorry, I don't know your real name. It's kind of but I really appreciate that. Okay, so I'm going to be earlier today I made this enormous charity shop find, cassette find, but I will leave that to last. Some really nice stuff there, but first I'll go through. Okay, I might have shown these two before, I don't know, but this is a cassette single by Moby. Actually, do you know what, I think I did show this before, but anyway, Moby, Into the Blue. This came out in 1995 on Mute, and I saw him live that year in 1995. He played as part of a big music festival that was put on here that year here in Cork. These two, I picked up these two at a flea market. They were €1.50 each. Another cassette single, the KLF, or sorry, actually the Justified Ancients of Moo Moo. The KLF, they recorded under a few different names, and this is one of the names they recorded under, Justified Ancients of Moo Moo, and this is called It's Grim Up North, which came out in 1991. Yeah, they're kind of almost best known for that kind of for the fact that they pulled a kind of a stunt. They pulled a stunt whereby they burned £1 million and filmed it. £1 million which they'd made from the kind of proceeds of releasing these. They had a few big hit singles in the late 80s, early 90s. Yeah, this kind of including this one, but yeah, this is a cracker of a dance single. I also got this at the same time, The Grid. The Grid Music for Dancing, this is called. This came out in '94, I think. Comprising one half of one former member of Soft Cell, Dave Ball. And this has a big hit single that they had, Swamp Thing. That was a big hit single back in around '95 or thereabouts. These are two interesting finds which I made in a kind of a second-hand shop which is closing down. The soundtrack to Miami Vice, yes, that quintessentially 80s cop show. This is on BBC cassettes, and yeah, so the main theme tune by Jan Hammer and all those other Phil Collins in the air tonight. Yeah, this is a pretty cool little little find. Also, at the same time as I found that, Robert Plant, Pictures at 11. I think that was his debut solo album. This came out in 1982. Not a huge. Well, I'm Led Zeppelin. I'm kind of ambivalent about them, really. This is an okay album. I picked it up because it's on cassette, the kind of novelty factor, and because it was cheap. Now I found these four all at the same time in a charity shop. They were 50 cents each. First off, speaking of Soft Cell, this is Mark Almond, the former Soft Cell frontman. This is a solo album which he released in 1985. This is called Stories of Johnny, which came out on Virgin. Yeah, really, really like. I mean, I'm a huge Soft Cell fan, and also a big fan of Mark Almond's solo work. This is very much kind of it's kind of Mel's disco with kind of Jacques Brel inspired kind of ballads. So yeah, really, really like this album. A huge fan of his stuff. Second up, now this is a rather. I'm certainly not in the habit of picking up stuff by Boy George, but this is I thought this is kind of. I'd take a punt on this. It was only 50 cents. This is an album he released in 1988. His kind of mega stardom had waned at this point. It's called Boyfriend. That's the original price tag. Yeah, it's kind of very much late 80s pop. There's one track on here that I like. It's called I forget which one it's called. There was kind of some slightly kind of acid house influenced stuff on here, but it's okay. It's not hugely taken with it. This is an unusual one. The Best from Tommy, The Who. This is a kind of a condensed version of the album Tommy. Kind of it's on Polydor, but I suppose it's some kind of budget kind of version of it. It's got the main tracks. It's got It's a Boy, The Acid Queen, Pinball Wizard. But yeah, again, definitely worth grabbing. Now this is always nice to pick up something by this band. Siouxsie and the Banshees and Superstition. This is a later release by them. This is from 1991. It's actually an album that I wasn't really all that familiar with prior to this. But yeah, it's definitely a good one. It's a pretty strong album. It kind of went into a kind of a slightly electronic, slightly kind of dance vibe on some of the songs here. But yeah. What else? Yes. Soundtrack to Schindler's List by John Williams. This was a random charity shop find. It was on its own. It was only 50 cents, so definitely felt that was worth grabbing as well. Now these I found in recently, just last weekend. I picked these up in a flea market. They were €1 each, and some very nice finds. Kate Bush Lionheart. I'd already have this on vinyl, but this is actually a bootleg. It's a Saudi bootleg. What's the name of the label actually? IMD. I think that's what it's called. Don't know the year of release. If this came out the same year the album was released, or if it was later. But also another soundtrack. The soundtrack to the movie In the Name of the Father, which came out in 1994. It was a movie based on the true story of the Guildford Four that were who were wrongly jailed in the 70s over an IRA bombing in London. This soundtrack includes there's a soundtrack by Trevor Jones. There's also contributions from Gavin Friday and Bono. So yeah, that's a big fan of Gavin Friday. Not so much of Bono, but still a nice find. It's pretty decent soundtrack. And staying with soundtracks, now this was a nice find. Terminator 2 Judgment Day, the soundtrack by Brad Fiedel. Brad Fiedel, who also did the music for the original Terminator. This is on a really nice transparent tape. This is on Very Saraband, a label that releases a lot of soundtracks. It's came out, 1991, same year as the movie. It's in really nice condition, and it's quite a rare enough, I'd say, to find this in the wild. So very happy with this. And that is that's that, I think. Oh yeah, I also found this. This is some kind of budget label movie score. It's like these kind of covers of well-known film scores. Kind of cheesy. It doesn't even there's no credits or anything on it for whoever performed on this. It's kind of almost like library music or something, but it's like a really cheesy version of the Star Wars theme, which is kind of, kind of cheesy but fun. Yeah, okay, so now for my big find from today. Walked into a charity shop which occasionally made some interesting finds there. I made it from time to time. But I found that a big donation of cassettes. You can tell that they all came from the same collection because they all have the former owner's name written on the inside. They're 50 cents each, and there's a load of cassettes there. There was a lot I left behind, but I cherry-picked these ones. Now, first off, the first one is the most interesting. This is by The Move. This is the self-titled debut album by The Move. Move, band from Birmingham in England. Had quite a few hit singles in the late 60s, early 70s. This is an original cassette edition on Regal. Is it Regal? Yeah, Regal Zonophone. And yeah, this is definitely the oldest cassette I've ever come across in the wild. It actually has one interesting feature, is this little cassette catalogue, I suppose you'd call it, of detailing all the latest releases, and yeah. So oh yeah, records available November 1967. So it was kind of like yeah, really interesting find. This I've played this as well, and it plays fine, you know, despite being nearly 50 years old. So really pleased with that. And I'll just show you the spine. That is the original price there, and it's actually in old decibel money, in shillings, I think. I'm not exactly sure what, £1 probably, and something. It was before pence came in, but anyway. Okay, so that's The Move, self-titled debut album, original edition from 1968. Only 50 cents it cost me. Thin Lizzy, one of the most famous bands to come out of Ireland. This is from 1977, Bad Reputation. This came out on Vertigo. A lot of them, I've only played 2 of these so far, but none of them have mold anyway, which is the kind of most important thing. But the tapes are, a lot of them are quite grubby, and the labels as well. They've all been written on as well. I'll just show. Oh yeah, this is Cat Stevens, Catch Bull at 4, which came out in 1972. That's the initials, by the way, of the former owner. He's Barry Clark. He wrote his name all over all of these. But this is interesting because this is the first time I've come across one of these early Island cassettes during that pink rim period. I think this originally would have been quite pink, this label, but it's kind of faded, so now it looks almost more white. But moving on, Siouxsie Quattro. Siouxsie Quattro. Quattro is the name of this album. In 74, again an original edition with those paper labels. Yeah, an American artist, but I always thought she was more popular on this side of the Atlantic than she was over there. Slade. Yeah, big glam rock kind of a theme running through these cassettes. I played this as well, and this plays absolutely perfectly. Again, an original edition from 1972 on Polydor Records. So let's put that back again. I'll go through them fairly quickly. Yeah, this is a really nice find as well. Ian Hunter from Mott the Hoople, and this is his self-titled album from 1975. Again, this this is on CBS, so it's got the old CBS red labels there. This is another pretty old one. The Dave Clark 5. Not a band, certainly not a band I'd be kind of grabbing stuff by, you know, but because this was so cheap, and because it's an original cassette, I thought, damn it, you know, why not? I like that blue plastic case on the cassette. This came out, what's this called again? Oh yeah, Dave Clark 5 played good old rock and roll, and this is from 1971. Earth, Wind and Fire, the best of Earth, Wind and Fire, Volume 1. Moving kind of further into the 70s, Yeah, some stuff from the 80s as well. Now this is a nice find. Bruce Springsteen, Nebraska. Widely acclaimed as his best album among people who are not Bruce Springsteen fans. Now myself, I'm not a big fan generally. Well, you know, okay. I don't collect his stuff, but this is one really, really good album. And it was originally recorded. He originally recorded actually on a, as far as I know, he recorded it on a tape player, or there's some story behind it. So, you know, it's his most kind of minimal, kind of stripped down album. And this is, oh yeah, this is actually a Yugoslavian edition. Yugoslavia, a country which no longer exists. The Waterboys. The Waterboys, Fisherman's Blues. This album was recorded in Ireland. They were spending a lot of time in Ireland at the time. There's a kind of a big, you know, there's a big kind of Irish trad folk influence on this. My girlfriend actually has this on vinyl. It's one of the very few albums. Vinyl albums. She bought it back when this came out in 1988, and she still has it. But here it is on cassette now. Oh yeah, U2. Again, another band I don't really collect, but this, of course, this was produced by Brian Eno, so arguably one of their best albums. The Unforgettable Fire from '84. This is an unusual one. This is called the Black and White Tape. It's on Black Tower, which, as far as I know, is a death metal label. But some of the songs on here: Procol Harum, A Whiter Shade of Pale, Mungo Jerry, T-Rex. They possibly might be like death metal covers, but I haven't listened to it yet, so I don't know. So that's everything. So that's my cassette hauls. I'll try and throw up another video. I have a lot more stuff to show. Non-cassette stuff for those of you. So anybody who's completely bored by all those cassettes will be glad to hear that. So thanks very much for watching, everybody, and have a great week.